Hello everybody, Demon Red Mist here, and as per requested, do a little track guide for Dynamic GT League's next league race location, Saint Croix A in the Master 787. I know I've not been doing track guides lately, I've been too busy, and also I've not been getting a lot of practice in myself, so a bit hard for me to give tips when I've not had the practice. This track though is one that I know it's a little bit awkward in many ways, but hopefully I'm going to be able to show you some things here that will really simplify this track a lot. Now I'm just going to quickly mention about the track map at the moment that's showing on the screen, and as we can see there is quite a few 90-degree corners. Some of them are second gear corners, some of them are third gear corners, and to be honest you should be able to take them. For those ones that are second gear corners, second gear every time. For those ones that are third gear corners, third gear every time. But if you're braking too late or not braking enough, then you won't be able to do them in third gear, and then you're going to lose a little bit of time. So, as is the way in this car, the entry is crucial. You can see that Fluffy is turning up to the location in his helicopter over there, so I'm guessing he's going to be practicing soon. Yeah, so the third gear corners, you've got to get the slowing down done right. Now I'm going to show you braking points, and also one of the key factors is the points that you get back on the power, because if you get on the power too soon you're going to get understeer and run wide. Okay, let's head over to the track. And what I'll do is I'll drive around slowly, mentioning what gear, what gear for the corner and the braking point, and then we'll get a hot lap or two in. Just mention as well that on my brake bias I am one to the rear. Okay, turn one is braking at 100 meters, but not heavy braking. It's a third gear corner, and get two wheels over the white line. Don't get on the power too soon there, and you'll be absolutely fine. It's a very fast corner, is turn one. Okay, turn two is a kink, it's flat out, but approaching from the left, not the right. Excuse me, so you can be on the right over here. Braking point is the start of the curb. It's a second gear corner, so be patient turning in and be careful of getting on the power too soon. About the end of the curb on the left is where you can start getting on the power. 50-meter marker board is the braking point for this corner. Again, this is a second gear corner. Don't turn in too soon. Allow yourself to really use the power of the gear. Okay, flat out around here. Now this next corner coming up the right hander is a tricky one. It's a second gear corner, but the braking point is a bit tricky. The start of the curb is too soon, so what I'm personally using is those two orange tents on the right hand side. When the orange tents are just going out my screen, that's about my braking point. Now if you are on a different view, if you're on this view, it may be a touch sooner. Let's see. No, you should be absolutely fine. So as those orange tents have gone out of the screen, and if you're on the bonnet view, it should be the same as well. So yes, you can use that as your braking point. It's not massively heavy braking though for this corner, and okay, you could brake a lot later, but you'd end up having a much lower minimum speed through the corner. This one is a second gear corner, and once we've sort of got into the apex you can really power it on the exit. The next corner is a third gear corner, and again this is a tricky braking zone because it's not a big heavy braking zone. For me, I'm kind of winging it a bit, but to try and give some kind of a marker, see the trees on the right hand side next to my wing mirror? As that's going out of the screen, that's about where I'm going to be lifting off and gently dabbing a little bit of brake. Now this corner, excuse the engine, this corner is a third gear corner. But if you brake too late, or if you can't get around here in third gear, you're probably braking too late or trying to accelerate too soon. If you're finding that you're better off taking it in second, by all means do so, but you are losing lap time. Again, don't be too eager on the power. I'll mention about the power points when I'm actually driving around. So yeah, third gear for that corner. We'll be up into fourth up here. The braking point is the start of the curb. And it's medium to heavy braking, third gear corner. Do not get on the power before you've got into the apex. Let it get there and then you can floor it using all of the road, okay? Now we're going to be going as fast as we can, but we want to move over to the left hand side of the circuit just after the curb. I'll try and pick out a braking point for this one as well. It's a little bit in kind of no man's land. So I think the start of the curb is too soon. So I don't know if you can see it, but we're kind of going uphill a little bit here, and there's a crest of a hill. So I'm probably braking about here-ish, which is just before the crest of the hill. Again, third gear corner, turn in at the end of the curb on the left. Don't get on the power too soon, wait till you got to the apex, and then you can nail it. If you did wheels on the Astro and grass here, be very, very careful. Okay, what we've got in front of us now is an extremely important corner. The one we've just gone round is important because it'll dictate how fast we can go around this corner and down the straight. But if we get this next corner wrong, there's a couple of things that are going to happen. Number one, you're going to be slow down the straight. Number two, you're going to be killing your tyres because you're turning too much. Or number three, you're going to end up running wide. I'll show you a way now that will allow you to go round this corner every single lap without going off the track and without killing your tyres. And it's also a very quick way of going around the corner. And it's a very, very simple process. We're flat out on approach, and then where that tarmac patch is in front of us, that big square, it's as simple as we do a lift for a split second, off, on, at that tarmac patch. And as we do that, we can start turning in, and the aim is to try and position the car around about here. From this point on, we should be flat out, however, with no more than 45 degrees steering angle. If you're having to steer more than 45 degrees, you're going to kill your tyres and you may understeer wide. So if you find that you're needing to turn more because you're not making the corner, lift off the throttle a little bit instead, and you'll find that the car will turn in a bit, it'll grip up for you. Or, as you're going around the corner, instead of applying more steering, come off it, let it grip up, and turn to 45 degrees again. That may not make much sense to you at the moment, but as I'm driving around on a faster lap, it will hopefully become more apparent. I know it's a backwards way of dealing with the car not turning enough, but if the car's not turning because the front wheels are sliding, you turning the wheel more, it's just going to make the front wheels slide more. So steer less, let it grip up. Okay, one of the best corners on this track, also probably one of the most dangerous in the pack. Be careful here, guys. Side by side through this corner can be done, but those two cars will be massively slow. So if you're behind two cars side by side up here, be very, very careful. And if you're behind cars that are behind cars that are behind two cars that are side by side, be careful as well. Okay, this for me is the third gear corner. My braking point is at the start of the curb. I could brake later, but by doing so I'm harder on the brakes and I'm sending more weight to the front and I'm unstable, right? So I'm going to brake at the start of the curb, but I'm going to brake gently. Hopefully as I do the hot lap you'll see how much brake I'm actually applying. Excuse me. And on turning, can't say I've actually picked a turning point. I am kind of winging it still. It's probably Yeah, it's probably about where the 50-metre marker board has gone. So third gear, but we want to be in this position. 2 wheels all over the curb, and by this point as well, back on the power, full throttle. We're going to end up using all of the road because of the speed that we're taking, so you may find yourself over here. That's absolutely fine. Okay, once you've got those corners nailed, we're into the hairpin. Keep it in third gear. There's no point changing up to fourth because you're just going to lose a bit of time. If you're in the pack, the braking point is going to be between the 100-metre marker board and the start of the curb. If you've got no cars in front of you, you'll be able to go for about the start of the curb. But here, brake, wait, and shift down to second as late as you can. That's going to give you stable braking. You can then focus on the turning in, getting in this position, and then feeding the throttle back on. If you're going to plant the throttle on the exit, bring your steering off, otherwise you could spin. Okay, onto the bridge. 50-metre, well, start of the curb to 50-metre marker board for the braking point. Second gear corner, don't turn in too soon. You do not want to be getting over that curb on the left, because there's a bump in this corner anyway, and if you get on the curb as well, you're going to get double bump. So you want to avoid that curb, so turn in a little bit later. That'll allow you to get on the power sooner and get off the steering sooner over the bump. You should be exiting around about here, trying not to hit the bridge. Okay, over the bridge is flat out, and then we're into a very tricky set of corners. The braking point for this corner is 100 metres. Do not brake beyond that. If you brake beyond that, you're not going to make the second part of this chicane. Yes, you will be able to be very fast into this corner, but you're going to be all out of shape in the next corner. Now, if people are going to go side by side through this combination of corners, be very, very careful. Because if you're on the left here with a car on the right, you're going to have to give them room through both corners, and you do not want to be stuffing them into the wall on the exit of the second corner. But if you're on the right hand side here, you've still got to give room to the car on your left, but you're at massive risk of hitting the exit wall at the corner. This is not really somewhere you want to be overtaking unless you are already side by side on the bridge, way back there somewhere. Okay, so braking point, 100 metres. Quite hard on the brakes. Don't downshift too soon. We're second gear, right? Now we can allow the car to continue to slow down around this corner. You can get 2 wheels on the Astro there, but the idea is to position yourself so you can open up the entry to this corner. So when you're on your own, it's all about getting the line around that corner behind us so that we can get a nice clean turn in and get on the power early and having no risk of the wall. Again, that will highlight on the faster laps. Right, the long right-hander. There are a number of ways you'll see people entering these corners. I've done a number of laps, and there's a line that I prefer because of where it positions me at the end of this corner. Now, for anyone that follows me, you may think, oh, he's gone wide, I can go over the inside on him on the way in. Okay, you can. But by the end of this long right-hander, chances are your car is going to want to start drifting over to the left-hand side of the road where I would be giving you room. So if you're going to go up the inside early here, you better make sure you don't understeer around these corners, because especially if you're coming from a little far back, a little bit behind another car, that initial closing could be quite quick, but what happens at the end of the corner is the important bit. Now for me, I am pretty much ignoring apex number 1. Right, my focus is the curb on the left that's coming up in front of us, because I want to position my car by that curb. And the reason that I want to position my car over here by this curb is because it now means that I can get through the rest of these corners with a lot less steering angle applied. If I've got less steering angle applied, I can carry more speed through the corners and also get less tyre wear, which is why it's also very handy to do. But the most important part of it is that taking this line now, and this is apex number 2 kind of, I'm ignoring apex number 2 as well, because my focus, although I'm creeping over towards apex number 2, my focus is apex number 3, which is this one. This is the one that I'm focusing on, and this is the one where I'm going to position my car here. So the whole rest of the corner is set up to position the car here, which will allow me to position the car better for the next left-hander as well. So if you come up the inside at the start of this long right-hander, you're going to be over to the left somewhere. Now, you may get away with it for 1 or 2 laps, but as the tyres wear, it's going to fucking suffer. Okay, long fucking lap this. 16 fucking minute out lap, Jesus. Right, okay, penultimate corner. Tricky motherfucker this. Now, this is a 3rd gear corner. By the way, that long right-hander's all flat out. This is a tricky corner. The temptation is to brake as late as possible, but then you have to take it 2nd gear. If you brake at 100 meters here, you can take this corner comfortably and quickly in 3rd gear. Okay, now 100 meter marker board is before the start of the curb, so really you want to be braking at 100 meters, but if you find yourself getting to the curb and you haven't braked yet, be prepared to have to slow down more. Okay, now with this corner, this is another one of those corners where if you get on the power too soon, it's one of these 90 lefts. If you get on the power here, you probably run wide, but if you get on the power here, you'll be absolutely fine. Slightly cold tyres. Okay, one more corner to go and then we'll get on to the faster laps. And the final corner's a very simple one really, in that it's almost identical to the one we've just been round. You don't have to brake heavy for it. Braking at 100 meters. It's a 3rd gear corner. Don't get on the power before you get to the apex and you'll be absolutely fine. Your aim will be to get 2 wheels on the curb on the right hand side. So 100 meters, gentle bit of braking, down to 3rd gear, turning at the end of the curb. Now we can get on the power, use all of the road and try not to hit the wall. Right, let's go and get some fucking hot tyres on and go and show how it's not done. Okay, so turn 1 as I said, 3rd gear corner. Flat out through the kink, but we want to be on the right hand side, brake at the curb, 2nd gear, get into the curb, and then we can feed the power. Brake at the 50, 2nd gear, once we get to the curb we can power. Flat out round the left hander, when the orange tent's gone, 2nd gear, in at the curb, we can feed the power on, look at those trees, bit of braking, excuse me, and just wing it round the corner. Up to 4th gear, brake at the start of the curb, 3rd gear corner. Wait for the power until you've actually got into the corner. If you get on the power before, you're going to go off. Okay, brake just after the curb. And again power at the apex. Lift at the patch. Do not steer more than 45 degrees. No tyre wear, decent speed. Okay, gentle braking, 100 meters, start of the curb. No 5th gear here by the way. Missed the apex a bit there, not carried the speed. Stay in third. Brake at the 100. Shift down to second as late as possible. Careful on the throttle, the rear wants to get loose. Brake at the start of the curve. Avoid that curve on the inside and get nicely on the power. Okay, we're going to brake at the 100. Okay, miss apex 1, get to the curve, miss apex 2, miss apex 3, clip apex 4, now we're on the right hand side for the 100 metres, for third gear, power at the apex, comfortably done. Brake at 100. Get on the curb, lovely corner. Okay, so we're going to brake at the 100 for turn 1. Get 2 wheels on the green bit. You'll notice it's not a lot of braking. Missed the apex a bit there, but it's not bad. Brake at the curb. Patient. Till we're midway round the corner on the power brake at the 50. By not getting on the power too soon, it means that when we do get on the power, we can be really aggressive. Orange huts, second gear. Trees. Stay in third gear. Tricky one this. Okay. Start of the curb and third gear. Okay, between the start of the curb and the wall, ooh, a little twitchy, but we can save it. Lift at the patch. Now I will tell you, I'm not going through there as fast as I can. I'm just showing you the 45 degree steering and the throttle applications where needed. Okay, brake at the curb. Really throw it into the corner. Brake just after the 100. Brake, wait and shift. Be cautious. Throttle on, steering off. Brake at the start of the curve. Avoid apex curve on the power mid-corner. Okay, it's brake at the 100. Or just before if you prefer. Okay, miss apex 1, get to the curb. Miss apex 2. Miss apex 3. In for apex 4. Brake at 100, third gear. Patient for the throttle. And now we can carry the speed. Okay, brake at the 100. Okay, what I'm going to try and do now is I'm going to continue doing another hard lap, but I'll do a couple of things differently. Do them wrong. Mainly in the big long right-hander. And the fast right-hander onto the back straight. Okay, right-hander coming up. What happens if I still lift, but I'm too aggressive with my steering? That's weird. I steered more and it didn't turn more. No, because more steering just means more slipping. So even though I lifted and turned in like I did before, because I turned in too much, just no grip there. Now, I know it will fry some people's brains that it's not easy to do when you're driving. Even I, on occasion, have to talk to myself and tell myself steer less, steer less, steer less. Okay, the big long right-hander coming up. What I'm going to do with that one is, on this occasion, I'm going to go for Apex 1. And now we're at Apex 2, tighter corner now, and tighter again, and now I'm wafting, and now I'm more over to the left. Now, the distance over to the left that I was not massive on that occasion. Well, I wasn't really going through there at maximum speed, but it was enough that I was offline. I was away from where I wanted to be by a good car and a half width. When you start factoring in tyre wear, that car and a half width is going to become 2 car widths, 2.5 car widths, 3 car widths, barrier. Okay, so be very careful about how you approach that right-hander. It is a flat-out corner, but you are better off taking a wider entry and hitting the final apex, Apex 4, rather than hitting Apex 1, kind of hitting 2, nearly hitting 3 and missing 4. Okay, it will find you should find that your car will be much more stable, especially when it comes to then hitting the brakes for the next left-hander. It'll help you out big time. But again, yeah, for anyone that is struggling here, hopefully that will give you some tips. I apologise it took as long as it did, but it's a long fucking lap, and the explaining about the corners takes its time. So anyway, there you go. Have a good luck, everybody, and I'll see you later.